The interstellar research ship Aurora drifted silently in the darkness of deep space, its hull gleaming under the faint light of distant stars. Inside, Lieutenant Mara Hayes moved carefully through the corridors, her boots clicking softly against the metal floor. She was an engineer, one of the best humans on the ship, and her task was clear: study and understand the alien devices they had discovered on the planet below. But Mara felt a mixture of excitement and unease. Something about these devices was different, fragile, alive in a way she had never seen before. Commander Kale stood at the observation window, watching the swirling gases of the planet below. He was tall and sharp-eyed, his presence commanding yet not unkind. Mara had always respected him. He pushed humans to their limits, but he believed in their capabilities. And he always said humans were more than capable of facing challenges others could not. "Lieutenant Hayes." Kale's voice cut through the quiet. "Report on your progress." Mara took a deep breath and held the small, glowing device carefully in her hands. The energy core pulsed softly, almost like a heartbeat. "It's responding," she said. "But it's unpredictable. The energy spikes if I push it too hard. I think it has a limit." Kyle turned, his eyes focused on hers. "Then find that limit. Push it just a little more. I know humans can do it." Mara's stomach tightened. She knew what he meant. The device could fail. It could explode. But she also knew that human intuition and skill had solved problems no other species could. Humans were explorers, inventors, and survivors. They thrived under pressure. Taking a deep breath, Mara nodded. "Understood. I'll continue." She returned to the laboratory, a space filled with holographic screens, tools, and small containment fields. The other crew members moved quietly around her, some preparing analysis equipment, others observing her work. Everyone knew this moment was critical. The devices they had discovered weren't just alien technology. They could hold secrets that might change humanity's understanding of the universe. Mara carefully placed the energy core onto a padded table. She adjusted her gloves and scanning instruments, her hands steady despite the rapid beating of her heart. The core pulsed again, brighter this time, as if it sensed her presence. She studied the patterns, noting how the energy fluctuated with every adjustment she made. "Look at that," one of the junior engineers whispered. "It's almost like it's alive." Mara nodded. "I've seen life respond like this before. But this is different. It's intelligence, but not like we know. We have to be careful. One wrong move." She trailed off, glancing at the pulsing core. Kale's voice came over the intercom, calm but firm. "Just a little more, Mara. Trust yourself." Her hands shook slightly, but she steadied them. She adjusted the containment field, letting a controlled amount of energy flow through the device. The core responded immediately, brightening and sending tiny sparks of light into the air. Mara held her breath, watching the delicate patterns form. It was beautiful, mesmerizing even. Then a sharp pulse shot through the table. Mara jumped back instinctively, but she had already analyzed the spike. She quickly adjusted the controls, stabilizing the energy flow. The core's glow softened, but it still throbbed like a living heart. "Impressive," Kale said over the intercom. "You handled that spike perfectly. Now just a little more." Mara exhaled slowly, feeling the tension in her body. The words echoed in her mind. Just a little more. She could feel the weight of the task pressing down on her. The device was fragile, yes, but she was determined. She had always been determined. Humans thrived where others failed. She continued her careful work, adjusting the energy flow, noting the core's responses. Each adjustment brought a new challenge. The device pulsed harder, bright sparks illuminating the laboratory, and Mara felt herself straining to keep up. Her eyes flickered between the readings on her instruments and the glowing core, trying to predict its next movement. Hours passed, though it felt like minutes. Mara barely noticed the time. Her focus was absolute, her mind and body working together to understand the alien intelligence in front of her. The other crew members watched quietly, their trust in her unwavering. Humans had always faced the impossible and succeeded, but the core seemed different. It tested her patience, her skill, even her courage. Every pulse, every spark seemed to push her limits further. Mara could feel herself growing tired, her muscles aching, her mind buzzing with calculations and predictions. Yet she continued. The human spirit, after all, was strongest when the odds seemed insurmountable. Kale's voice came again, gentle yet insistent. "Just a little more, Mara, you can do it. I believe in you." Mara nodded, though she didn't speak. She adjusted the controls one final time, letting the energy flow stabilize, letting the core respond to her presence. Slowly, carefully, the core's pulses synchronized with her own rhythm. The laboratory glowed softly, filled with light and hums of energy. "You've done it," Kale said, his voice carrying pride. "Humans are extraordinary. You saw a challenge and didn't break. You adapted. You learned. That's what makes us exceptional." Mara allowed herself a small smile. Her body was exhausted, but her mind felt sharp, alive. She had faced the device's unpredictability, the strain, the fear, and she had overcome it. Humans were fragile, yes, but they were resilient. They could push beyond limits that others could not even imagine. Yet even as she relaxed, Mara felt a lingering tension. Something about the core was unresolved. The energy patterns hinted at secrets deeper than she had yet discovered. She knew this was only the beginning. Humans were explorers, and exploration always carried risk. The crew gathered around, examining the stabilized core. Murmurs of admiration and amazement filled the room. The device, once wild and dangerous, now pulsed gently, almost as if it acknowledged its human handlers. Mara felt a strange sense of connection. She had faced the unknown and had prevailed, not through brute force, not through technology alone, but through human ingenuity, patience, and courage. Kale approached her, placing a firm hand on her shoulder. "You did well, Mara, but remember, this is only the first step. There are greater challenges ahead, and I know you can handle them. Humans always rise to the occasion." Mara nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and apprehension. She had survived the test, but she could not ignore the warning signs. The core was powerful, intelligent, and unpredictable. It would push her further, test her endurance, and challenge her limits again. But she was ready. Humans thrived under pressure. That was their strength. As the crew prepared to descend to the planet's surface, Mara took a moment to look at the stars outside the laboratory window. The universe was vast, mysterious, and dangerous, yet humans had a place in it. They were more than explorers, they were problem solvers, survivors, and pioneers. And she, Mara Hayes, was ready to prove it. The descent to the planet would not be easy. The surface was unknown, the atmosphere unstable, and the alien devices still mysterious. But the human crew, led by determination, ingenuity, and courage, would face whatever lay ahead. Mara tightened her grip on her tools, feeling the pulse of the energy core in her hands. It was alive. It was powerful, and it was waiting for her to take the next step. She took a deep breath and whispered to herself, "Just a little more." And with that, Mara stepped into the shuttle, ready to begin the next stage of the mission. The journey was only starting, but one thing was certain. Humans were not fragile. They were unbreakable even when pushed to the edge. The shuttle rattled as it pierced through the planet's dense atmosphere. Mara's hands gripped the control panel, her knuckles white. The hum of the energy core in her bag seemed louder here, almost as if it resonated with the planet itself. The landscape below was a strange mix of jagged mountains and glowing valleys, pulsating faintly with energy that mirrored the core. Mara's heart raced. She had never seen anything like it. "Lieutenant Hayes," Commander Kale said, breaking the tense silence. His voice was calm but firm. "We are entering the first energy zone. The readings are unstable. Be prepared for anything." Mara nodded, even though Kale could not see her. "Understood, Commander," she replied. Her voice was steady, but inside a storm of anticipation and fear swirled. Humans had faced challenges before, but nothing quite like this. The energy here was intelligent. It reacted to them, adjusted to their movements, and seemed to learn from every attempt to study it. The shuttle's sensors began to beep, warning of fluctuating energy spikes ahead. Mara leaned over the console, adjusting the shields to stabilize the craft. Sparks danced across the panel, making her jump slightly. She swallowed hard, knowing that one wrong move could mean disaster, yet the mission demanded she continue. Humans had a history of facing the unknown, and she would not fail. "Just a little more, Mara," Kale's voice echoed in her helmet. She clenched her teeth at the reminder. It was more than a phrase now. It was a challenge, a push to go beyond what she thought possible. The shuttle dropped into a glowing valley. Energy cores were scattered across the surface like crystalline flowers, radiating warmth and light. The glow reflected off Mara's helmet as she stared out the window in awe. These cores were alive in their own way, moving slightly, almost breathing, as if waiting for her to act. "Prepare for landing," Kale commanded. Mara, you will be the first to study them up close. Mara's stomach tightened, but she nodded. She had trained for this moment. Humans were not only survivors, they were explorers. They adapted, learned, and solved problems that seemed impossible. She would do the same. The shuttle landed with a soft thud and the ramp lowered. Mara stepped onto the alien ground, her boots crunching over a surface that glowed faintly beneath her feet. The air shimmered with energy, and she could feel the hum of the cores vibrating through her body. Each pulse was like a heartbeat, and with each one she felt both excitement and a creeping sense of fear. Keep your distance, but begin analysis, Kale instructed. We need readings before we proceed further. Mara approached the nearest core, her tools ready. The core pulsed brighter as she extended her scanner, its energy reacting instantly to the human presence. She adjusted the settings carefully, taking note of every fluctuation. Hours seemed to pass in minutes as she worked, focusing entirely on the strange intelligence before her. Then, the core pulsed violently, brighter than ever. Mara stumbled back, almost dropping her tools. Sparks flew, and the energy seemed to reach out, testing her limits. She steadied herself, breathing deeply. The core was alive, yes, but it also demanded respect. Just a little more, Mara, Kyle's voice came again. This time it was closer, almost beside her. He had stepped down from the shuttle, watching her carefully. You can handle it. I know humans can. Mara clenched her jaw, remembering the hours of work on the ship. She had already pushed herself beyond comfort. Every nerve in her body screamed at her to step back, to stop. But she continued, driven by determination, pride, and the human instinct to solve the impossible. The energy core responded to her touch, pulsing faster, brighter. It was almost overwhelming, sending shivers up her arms. Her gloves felt hot. Her vision flickered at the edges, but she did not stop. She adjusted her instruments, letting a controlled amount of energy flow from the core into the scanner. The readings were staggering. Data streamed in at an impossible speed, and her mind raced to interpret it. Lieutenant Hayes, are you all right? Kyle asked, concern in his voice. I'm fine, she said, though her voice trembled slightly. It's responding more than I expected. The energy is more intelligent than we thought. It's testing me, Kyle nodded. Then show it what humans can do. Just a little more. Mara's hands shook as she pushed the core slightly beyond its previous limits. Sparks flew, bright arcs of energy illuminating the valley. She felt a sudden surge of fatigue, her body trembling under the strain. Every muscle ached, her vision blurred, and her breathing grew shallow. But her mind stayed sharp. She focused on the patterns, the pulses, the tiny movements of energy that revealed its intelligence. The core pulsed violently once again, sending a shockwave that made Mara stumble. She fell to her knees, her body screaming at her to stop. But she forced herself to rise, gripping the scanner tightly. Humans had survived worse. They had faced storms, battles, and challenges that seemed impossible. This was no different, except the opponent was energy, intelligence itself. Hours blurred together. Mara continued to push, adjust, stabilize. The core's energy flared, testing her mind and body to the extreme. She felt exhaustion clawing at her, threatening to overwhelm her. Her vision flickered, her thoughts became fragmented, but still she pressed on. Finally, the core pulsed steadily, bright and calm. Mara fell to the ground, her body shaking, her hands scorched from the energy. She could barely breathe. She had reached her breaking point. Every nerve in her body screamed in protest. Every muscle begged for rest. But even in her exhaustion, she felt a strange exhilaration. She had faced the unknown and had not failed. Humans could endure, adapt, and overcome even the most unimaginable challenges. Kale knelt beside her, placing a hand on her shoulder. You did it, Mara. I told you humans could. You see what others could not. You endured, you adapted, you triumphed. Mara's voice was barely a whisper. I don't know how much more I can take. Kyle smiled gently. Then rest. Humans endure, but even humans need recovery. You have proven something extraordinary today. Not just about the cores, but about yourself. The human spirit is resilient. You are resilient. The crew gathered around, assisting Mara to her feet. The cores continued to pulse, now stable, their energy bright and controlled. The valley seemed almost peaceful, as if acknowledging the human perseverance that had tamed its wild energy. As Mara sat down, her body aching but her mind alive, she realized something profound. The mission was far from over. The planet held deeper secrets, more complex challenges, and dangers they could not yet imagine. But humans had something unique: ingenuity, determination, and the ability to endure beyond limits. The energy cores had tested her, pushed her to breaking, and yet she had not failed. She had survived, learned, and adapted. Kale's voice came again, quiet but firm. "We have a long journey ahead. Rest now, Mara. Tomorrow we face the next challenge. And I know you will rise to it. Humans always do." Mara nodded, closing her eyes briefly. Her body was exhausted, but her spirit was strong. She had been pushed to her limits and had broken. But even in that breaking, she had discovered the strength that made humans exceptional. The sun, or what passed for a sun on this alien world, set over the glowing valley, casting long shadows and painting the cores in golden light. Mara watched silently, knowing the challenges ahead would be greater, but trusting in the human spirit that had carried her this far. For the first time, she allowed herself a small, weary smile. Humans were fragile, yes, but their courage, intelligence, and resilience made them unstoppable when tested. And Mara Hayes was ready to face whatever the planet and the universe had in store. The energy cores pulsed gently, almost like a heartbeat in the quiet evening. Mara could feel it in her own chest. The bond between human and alien intelligence had begun, fragile and delicate but undeniable. And somewhere deep in her mind, Mara knew this was only the beginning. The universe was vast, dangerous, and mysterious, but humans had a way of turning challenges into triumphs. Mara had been tested, pushed beyond her limits, and had survived. That survival, that perseverance, was the essence of humanity. The first day on the planet ended with exhaustion, relief, and a quiet triumph. Mara would sleep, recover, and prepare for what lay ahead. But even in sleep, her mind worked, unraveling patterns, analyzing energy pulses, and preparing for the next stage of exploration. Tomorrow she would face more challenges. The energy cores would test her again. The planet would push the limits of human endurance, and the unknown would demand every bit of skill and courage she could muster. But Mara Hayes was ready. Humans were always ready, and no matter how much she felt she had broken, she knew one thing: humans endured, humans adapted, humans triumphed. The next morning, Mara woke with a dull ache running through her muscles, but her mind was sharp and focused. The events of the previous day lingered in her memory: the surging energy, the sparks, the pulse of the alien cores. Even as exhaustion weighed her down, she felt an undeniable drive to continue. Humans thrived in moments of extreme pressure. They adapted. They solved problems others could not, and Mara was determined to prove that again. Commander Kyle stood at the edge of the glowing valley, scanning the horizon. His gaze was sharp, but he smiled as Mara approached. "Good morning, Lieutenant. I trust your rest was adequate?" Mara gave a small nod. "Adequate, sir. I'm ready to continue." Kyle's eyes softened. "Good. The cores are responding to your presence. They've stabilized, but there is still more to uncover. Today, you will lead the analysis. Your team is ready to assist." Mara felt a surge of pride mixed with apprehension. The cores were alive in a way that defied logic. They responded to energy patterns, environmental changes, and most intriguingly, to human intuition. No alien species had ever been observed to adapt so quickly. It was almost as if the cores were learning, not just reacting, but understanding. The team spread out across the valley, carefully positioning their equipment. The glowing cores shimmered under the strange light of the planet, casting long shadows. Mara knelt beside the largest core, placing her scanner against the smooth, pulsing surface. Her heart beat in time with the energy, and she felt an odd sense of connection. "Notice the pulse frequency," Mara instructed the junior engineers. "It adjusts to our movements. If we approach carefully, it responds positively. Too aggressive, and it resists. Observe the pattern, adapt, and proceed slowly." Hours passed. Mara guided her team through careful experiments, teaching them to anticipate the core's reactions. They worked tirelessly, their movements precise and deliberate. Sparks of energy occasionally danced around them, but Mara kept the situation under control. Each successful stabilization brought a quiet cheer from the crew. Yet even as the team made progress, Mara sensed a deeper challenge looming. The cores were not just responding, they were testing their limits, their creativity, their resolve. Humans thrived under pressure, but this was unlike anything they had ever encountered. Mara's mind raced, searching for patterns, clues, and solutions. "Lieutenant Hayes," Kale said, stepping closer, "I believe the cores are guiding us. There is a rhythm, a logic beyond simple energy flows. You can sense it, can't you? Mara nodded. Yes, it's subtle, but it's there. They want us to understand something. Maybe a message or a path. We need to interpret it carefully. She focused on the largest core, observing the patterns as it pulsed. The energy seemed almost musical, a sequence of light and vibration that conveyed information. Her mind raced to decode it, to translate the alien rhythm into something humans could comprehend. Hours turned into a blur. Mara adjusted her scanner, her gloves glowing from the energy, her muscles aching from the strain. She ignored fatigue. Humans had always excelled when others would have given up. Survival, adaptation, and ingenuity were built into their nature. She could not fail. Then a breakthrough. The sequence of pulses began to make sense. Mara realized that the cores were forming a map. Not a geographical map, but a pattern that led to an ancient structure somewhere on the planet. Her heart leapt. This could be the key to understanding the alien civilization that had created the cores. "Commander Kale," Mara said, her voice trembling with excitement. "I think I've figured it out. The cores are guiding us. There's a location somewhere hidden that we need to reach. This could be a discovery beyond anything humanity has ever encountered." Kyle's eyes widened, then softened with pride. "I knew humans could do it. Trust your instincts, Mara. You've already shown what makes us exceptional." Mara nodded, her determination renewed. She shared her findings with the team, explaining the sequence, the map, and the patterns. The engineers quickly adjusted their instruments to follow her lead. Together they plotted the course the cores had revealed, moving carefully across the valley. As they approached the coordinates indicated by the energy map, the cores pulsed brighter, as if encouraging them. The ground beneath their feet vibrated softly, harmonizing with the core's rhythm. Mara felt a strange energy flowing through her, connecting her to the planet and the devices. It was overwhelming yet exhilarating. Suddenly, one of the smaller cores surged violently, sending sparks into the air. Mara instinctively raised her hand, stabilizing the flow with her instruments. "Careful," she warned the team. "It's testing us again. Focus, adapt, and maintain control." The surge passed, leaving the valley bathed in gentle light. Mara realized that the cores were not obstacles, they were guides. Challenges meant to test human ingenuity. They pushed her to the edge, forcing her to think, adapt, and improvise. She had broken under pressure once, but now she understood. Breaking was not failure. It was learning. It was the path to human triumph. Hours later, the team arrived at a towering crystalline structure hidden in a secluded canyon. It glowed faintly, pulsing in sync with the cores. Mara approached cautiously, her hands steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. This was the heart of the alien technology, the culmination of all their efforts. "Lieutenant Hayes," Kyle said, his voice filled with awe. "This is incredible. Humans were meant to find this. Your resilience brought us here." Mara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. She activated the scanners, analyzing the structure's energy flows. The patterns were complex, interwoven, yet remarkably precise. Her fingers moved over the controls, adjusting instruments and fine-tuning readings. As she worked, a realization struck her. The structure was not just a repository of technology, it was a communication device. It held messages from an advanced civilization, meant to guide and assist those capable of understanding its intricacies. And humans, with their adaptability, intelligence, and creativity, were exactly that. The structure responded to Mara's touch, pulsing brighter, sending waves of energy that seemed to convey understanding. Her mind absorbed the patterns, translating them into coherent information. The alien messages revealed advanced scientific knowledge, techniques for energy manipulation, and hints of other worlds waiting to be explored. Mara felt a rush of pride. Humans had endured, adapted, and triumphed. The cores had tested them to the brink, but human ingenuity had unlocked the secrets. It was a triumph not just of technology, but of human spirit. Commander Kale stepped beside her, watching in silent admiration. "This is what I meant," he said softly. "Humans can face challenges that seem impossible. You've done more than survive, Mara. You've shown the universe what humans are capable of." Mara smiled, exhausted but elated. The structure's energy pulsed steadily now, calm and bright. The valley seemed alive with possibility, a testament to human resilience and brilliance. She had been pushed to her limits, broken in body and spirit, but through that breaking, She had discovered strength beyond measure. The team gathered around, recording data and preparing to transmit their findings to the ship. Mara looked at the glowing structure, feeling a deep connection. Humans were fragile, yes, but fragile in a way that allowed them to endure, adapt, and overcome. Rest now, Kyle said gently. Tomorrow we will begin deeper exploration. But today, remember what you've accomplished. You've shown what humans can do under pressure. That is a lesson the universe will never forget. Mara nodded, her body weary but her spirit strong. She had faced the cores, reached her limits, and discovered secrets that no other species could have unlocked. Humans were remarkable. They endured. They adapted. They triumphed. As night fell over the glowing valley, Mara gazed at the stars above, feeling the pulse of the cores in her chest. The journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, more secrets to uncover, and more tests of human courage and ingenuity. But Mara Hayes was ready. Humans always were. The first step of discovery had been completed, but the adventure was only beginning. The cores had taught her something profound. Even when humans feel they have broken completely, they have the strength to rise again, to solve the impossible, and to shine where others would fail. Mara closed her eyes briefly, letting the energy wash over her. She was tired, yes, but exhilarated. The universe was vast, mysterious, and full of challenges, but humans had a way of turning trials into triumphs, and she would lead the way. The alien structure pulsed softly, as if acknowledging her determination. The map had led them here. The cores had tested them, and humanity had succeeded. Mara smiled, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. They had been broken by the challenge, but in that breaking they had found brilliance. Tomorrow would bring more tests, more energy puzzles, and more discoveries. But Mara knew one thing for certain. Humans could endure, adapt, and triumph in ways the universe had never imagined. And with that knowledge, she prepared to lead her team into the next stage of exploration, ready to face whatever the glowing planet and its intelligent energy would throw at them next. The sun rose over the glowing valley, painting the crystalline structures in hues of gold and amber. Mara Hayes stood at the edge of the largest core, her gloves still faintly warm from yesterday's work. The pulse of the energy beneath her fingers felt steady now, almost familiar, as if the planet itself had accepted the humans as worthy explorers. Commander Kale approached, a sense of quiet pride in his posture. "Today is the day, Mara," he said. "The cores have guided us this far. Now we must uncover what lies at the heart of this planet." Mara nodded, her mind racing with possibilities. The cores had led them here, testing them at every step. They had pushed her to the brink and forced her to adapt, to think creatively, and to endure beyond what she thought possible. Humans were remarkable. They had survived, triumphed, and, now perhaps they were about to achieve something extraordinary. The crew gathered their equipment and followed Mara down a narrow path that led toward the heart of the canyon. The walls shimmered with embedded crystals, reflecting the glow of the cores. The air vibrated faintly, resonating with the energy pulses they had learned to understand. Every step felt deliberate, as if the planet itself was guiding them, ensuring they moved in harmony with its rhythms. "This way," Mara said, her voice steady. She led the team with confidence, despite the fatigue that still lingered in her muscles. Humans were capable of incredible endurance when the stakes were high. She had learned this the hard way, and she would use it now to guide her crew. As they moved deeper into the canyon, the energy grew stronger. Mara could feel it humming through her body, a constant reminder of the challenges they had faced and overcome. She glanced at her team. Their eyes reflected awe and determination. Humans thrived in the unknown, and this moment was a testament to their resilience. Finally, they arrived at a massive crystalline chamber at the canyon's center. The walls shimmered with energy, forming intricate patterns that pulsed in harmony with the cores outside. In the middle of the chamber stood a pedestal, upon which rested the largest core they had encountered. Its glow was mesmerizing, casting long shadows that danced across the walls. "This is it," Mara whispered, awe in her voice. "The heart of the planet." Commander Kale stepped beside her, his eyes wide with wonder. "It's incredible," he said. No alien species has achieved anything like this, and yet humans were able to reach it. This is what makes us exceptional. Mara approached the pedestal carefully, her hands steady despite the energy thrumming beneath her fingers. She activated her scanner, analyzing the core's patterns. The energy pulses were complex, almost like a language, a message waiting to be deciphered. Hours passed as Mara worked, adjusting instruments and recording data. The patterns began to reveal themselves, forming sequences that conveyed information beyond mere energy. It was a communication, a record left by an advanced civilization long gone. The knowledge contained within was astonishing. Techniques for energy manipulation, advanced scientific principles, and even coordinates to other worlds. This is beyond anything humanity has ever known, Mara said, her voice trembling with excitement. The cores are not just technology. They are a message, a guide, and they chose humans to understand it. Kale placed a hand on her shoulder. You've shown what humans are capable of, Mara. Intelligence, creativity, endurance. These are our strengths. You've unlocked something that no one else could. Mara felt a surge of pride. She thought back to the moment when the cores had pushed her to the brink, when her body trembled and her mind felt as if it could no longer continue. She had broken, under the pressure, yet in that breaking, she had discovered the strength to endure and overcome. That was the essence of humanity. The crew worked together, following Mara's guidance to access the core's deepest data. Each team member contributed, using their unique skills to interpret the alien messages. It was a perfect demonstration of human cooperation, ingenuity, and resilience. They were pushing the boundaries of knowledge, reaching further than any species before them. As the day progressed, the chamber itself seemed to respond. The walls pulsed with energy and rhythm with their actions, almost as if the planet itself acknowledged their success. Mara realized that the cores were not just tests. They were a form of communication, a way for the planet's creators to identify those worthy of their knowledge. "This is extraordinary," one of the junior engineers said, eyes wide. "It's like the planet recognizes us, guides us, and even trusts us." Mara nodded. "Yes, and that is what makes humans special. We can adapt, learn, and overcome challenges that seem impossible. We don't just survive, we thrive." Hours turned into evening. The team had decoded the final sequences, revealing the coordinates to other advanced human-friendly sites across the galaxy. Mara felt a mixture of exhaustion and exhilaration. They had pushed themselves beyond limits, faced unknown energy forces, and emerged victorious. Humans had endured, adapted, and triumphed. Commander Kale turned to her, eyes shining with pride. "Lieutenant Hayes, this is more than a discovery. This is proof that humans can achieve greatness even in the most extreme circumstances. You and your team have done something extraordinary." Mara smiled, a tired but genuine expression. "We were pushed to our limits, we were tested, but humans always find a way." The chamber pulsed one final time, a gentle, steady rhythm that seemed to acknowledge their success. Mara felt a deep sense of connection to the planet, to the cores, and to the universe itself. Humans were fragile, yes, but they possessed an inner strength that allowed them to endure, adapt, and triumph against impossible odds. As they prepared to leave the chamber, Mara took a moment to gaze at the glowing cores. Each one pulsed in harmony, a testament to human ingenuity and courage. She knew that the knowledge they had gained would change humanity forever. It was a triumph not just of science, but of the human spirit. The team returned to the shuttle, their equipment filled with data, their minds buzzing with excitement. Mara glanced at Commander Kale. "What now, sir?" she asked. Kale smiled. "Now we take this knowledge back to humanity. We share it, we explore further, and we prove to the universe what humans are capable of. You've shown the true meaning of resilience, Mara. You've broken, yes, but in breaking you discovered strength beyond measure. That is what makes humans extraordinary." Mara nodded, feeling the weight of his words. The journey had pushed her to the edge, but she had survived. She had adapted, she had triumphed. And in doing so, she had proven something far greater than any technology could reveal: the power of human courage, creativity, and endurance. The shuttle lifted off from the valley, the glowing cores fading beneath them. Mara gazed out at the alien world one last time, a sense of awe and pride filling her chest. Humans had faced the impossible, and they had succeeded. They had been tested, broken, and rebuilt stronger than ever. As the shuttle returned to the Aurora, Mara felt a renewed sense of purpose. The universe was vast, full of unknown challenges and mysteries, but humans had the ability to face them. They were explorers, problem solvers, and survivors. They could endure, adapt, and triumph. Just a little more, Mara whispered to herself, a smile on her face. It had been the mantra that guided her through exhaustion, fear, and doubt. And now, it was a reminder of human strength. The stars stretched out before them, infinite and mysterious. Mara knew that the journey was far from over. Greater challenges awaited, more discoveries and more tests of human ingenuity, but she was ready. Humans always were. The Aurora continued its course through space, carrying Mara and her team toward new adventures. The knowledge they had gained would shape the future of humanity, proving that even when pushed to the brink, humans could endure, adapt, and triumph where others would fail. Mara closed her eyes briefly, letting the hum of the shuttle and the pulse of the cores resonate within her. She had broken once, but in that breaking, she had discovered what humans were truly capable of. She had faced the impossible and emerged stronger. And as the shuttle soared into the infinite expanse of the universe, Mara Hayes knew one thing with certainty: humans were extraordinary. Fragile, yes, but unbreakable in spirit, relentless in courage, and boundless in ingenuity. The adventure had ended for now, but the journey of humanity, of discovery, courage, and triumph, was only beginning. The stars twinkled above, the universe waiting for those brave enough to explore it. And humans would always be among the first to rise to the challenge. Mara smiled once more, feeling the pulse of possibility in her chest. She had faced the unknown, broken under pressure, and triumphed. That was the essence of humanity, and the universe would never forget.